This great clip brought to you by, wait for it, Great Clips. It's going to be great.
And here he is, one half of the team, Donnie and Dhali. Weekdays on Czech Television, 10 to noon, coming back Tuesday after a summer off. And as we mentioned off the top, we are so pleased to have Rick Dhaliwal back with us each and every Friday to discuss the comings and goings of the Vancouver Canucks. How you doing, fella?
Couldn't be better. Last weekend, before all of us media types get back to work because the Canucks season, Matt, and also Jeff is around the corner, 3 weeks away. Can you believe it? Time to put the golf clubs away, both of you, and get ready and buckle up and get ready to work.
Well, wait a second here. You're talking about all of these media that have. We've been working through the summer. You're the guy that got August off.
Hey, hold it.
And July.
It's Taylor's agent that got the 6 off. I got no pull. It's Taylor's agent. He's one hell. I think it's Ross Gurney, the local guy. But anyways,
wow.
Taylor got that. We got a better holiday package than the teachers do. Take that to the bank.
Well, Don looks great. I mean, he's been really working out this summer. He looks fantastic. How are you holding up physically? I know you've got shoulder issues, Rick. Are you going to be able to make it through this long, arduous season?
Once you get over 50, everything goes south. The eyes, the ears, certain body parts, not all. But anyways, the shoulder, tendonitis. I can only go off once a week. I'm trying to fix it, trying to get x-rays. I got to fix that thing. It's been bothering me for a couple of
All right.
If I'm gonna go,
as long as the elbow can get the phone to your ear and your thumbs.
Right.
Your
Yeah,
thumbs
exactly.
are texting. That's what matters.
No, that's right hand. The shoulder's on the left side. If I'm going to golf with pros like Jeff Patterson, I got to fix the shoulder.
All right, so he may be down. He may miss a hit due to surgery later this year, but each and every Friday with Rick Dhaliwal of Donnie and Dhali, the team. Rick, let's get after it. Canucks have roughly about $1 million to spend, but of course, $1.125 million. You can bury the whole thing in the minors if you sign a player for that freight or less. And what are you hearing on with regards to Calvin De Haan or PK Subban or defensemen?
Well, let me set it up like this. I think. And you guys have touched on this. I think Canuck fans and media expected a lot of changes this. I think the flat cap is a big reason why there wasn't a lot of changes, and I think the flat cap. I could still tell you agents right now, Tyler Mott, Evan Rodriguez. These guys are waiting for teams to clear cap space before those guys. Sonny Milano's out there. There's some good players still out there. The Canucks not making a ton of changes, guys, wasn't from a lack of trying. They got a shade over $1 million to play with. If they so choose to use it, and if it makes sense, they'll spend that money. But remember, you can get a young player off of waivers when training camps begin here in a couple of weeks as well. So keep that in mind as well. I checked in on UFA defenseman Calvin De Haan last night. Was told the Canucks are still in the mix to land them. They're out of the Evan Rodriguez, but still in on De Haan. One player I was told the Canucks do not have interest is 33-year-old UFA defenseman PK Subban. I see a lot of stuff on Canucks Twitter about Subban. You guys had a poll question a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
The Canucks have made no contact with his agent all summer long, okay? And I think his age might be, playing a factor here why the Canucks are not showing a ton of interest. Well, they haven't actually shown any in PK Subban. So keep that one in mind. I know everyone's throwing out speculation the Canucks should go get PK Subban. I just want to say they have not called the agent. There's been no interest in PK Subban. Also keep in mind, I've been told that Tucker Pullman's having a good summer, recovering from headache issues. He only played 40 games last year. You guys know that. His agent, Dean Grillo, tells me he's skating, he's working out. Jim Rutherford, he likes Pullman. He tells me that Pullman can make a difference for the Canucks. Vancouver doesn't have a lot of depth on the blue line, and he thinks that Pullman can be an important player for the Canucks when healthy. Last one, UFA forward Alex Chason. I reported last week he spent the summer in Vancouver skating with the Canucks. Rutherford tells me that he still falls into their conversation. They talk about him. They really like him. But right now, they cannot commit to signing Alex Chiasson. I will tell you guys, media and fans, they love to talk about points and goals and, age and that contract. One thing about Chiasson that the Canucks really like, habits, work habits, practice, good pro, on and off the ice, can play up and down the lineup. Those things matter. They don't matter to the average fan, but they matter to hockey clubs. So, someone also told me that Chiasson changed agents as well recently. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So with De Haan, Subban, Pullman, Chiasson, that's the update I have on those four guys.
Yep.
Guys.
Any follow-ups there, Jeff, or are we going to move on to
Yeah, I wanted to move on to DiPietro because this is a story that you reported earlier in the summer that his agent had been granted permission by the Canucks to seek a trade. Well, here we are now into September. It's Labor Day weekend, and Mikey DiPietro remains property of the Vancouver Canucks. What's going on there?
Okay, what's going on there is very simple. His agents are working hard to try to get him moved from Vancouver. Here's what's going to happen. By the way, all the goalies are in Vancouver right now working out with Ian Clark. DiPietro won't get to Vancouver till next week, until the week of the 12th. He's got an NHL rookie orientation in Washington next week, so he's going to be at that. His agents are working hard to get the deal done. Okay, guys, listen. If DiPietro isn't traded by the time he gets here, he's going to have to go to camp. He's going to clearly have to fight it out with Seelovs. And I'm sorry, but the loser of that battle between DiPietro and Seelovs will be sent to the East Coast Hockey League. Jeff, I don't even want to think what would happen to that kid if he got sent to the East Coast League. I don't think he was properly handled, but last 2 or 3 years, especially the COVID year when he was the third goalie up in Vancouver, didn't see any ice, and then they sent him to Utica at the very end. I think the Canucks owe it to this guy, not the current regime, not the current regime, but I think the Canucks owe it to this kid to get him to a place where he might be in. Clearly, guys, Seelovs is ahead of him on the depth chart. He's going to really have to battle it out with him at camp. But that's the update, Jeff, is that I do know for a fact the agents are working really hard to move him.
Ricky, we have spent some time here over the last couple of weeks sketching out opening night lineups, and of course with Bruce Boudreau talking about three centermen, then figuring out who's going to be the wingers for Miller, Pettersson, and Bow, but also considering where a third-year player Nils Höglander may fit after a sophomore slump. What are you hearing on the pugnacious young Swede and where he fits with these Canucks?
Well, the Canucks like him, and here's what I can tell you. When the Canucks go out and sign 4 forwards in free agency, some players get pushed to the back of the bus. And a lot of people have Höglander on line 4. But here's my problem with Höglander on line 4. He's not going to get a creative center to play with. Let's be honest. So his point production for a skilled guy on line 4 makes no sense. Is he a dump and chase guy? I don't think so. I don't think he's a fourth line guy. So some think he could end up in Abbotsford. But I was told even if he does end up in Abbotsford, that's not the Canucks writing him off. They like him, and he would only go to Abbotsford, I think, to get more ice time, be in the top 6, get your confidence up. I don't know about you guys, but I just don't see him as a fourth line guy. I don't. He was drafted high. He was drafted as a skilled guy. He's got a great mortar. He works hard, the whole 9 yards. But it looks like with Mikheyev and Kuzmenko, it looks like he's been bumped a little bit down the lineup. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
What do you think, Jeff? Is he a fourth-line guy? Would he be better served in Abbotsford playing top-line minutes if that's his lot in life with the Canucks?
I certainly can understand that line of thinking that if he doesn't kill penalties, so if he's a fourth-line guy, his ice time is going to be diminished. He might possibly see a little bit of time on the second power play unit, but they have some options probably that are ahead of him that weren't here last year. So, again, he's waiver exempt. He can be sent down. They don't run the risk of losing him. And if it's about building this player back up, as Rick said, put him in a position to succeed, it's not the craziest thing, especially with Abbotsford just down the street now and all of this investment in player development. You know, and you've got an NHL coach and Jeremy Collett in there that probably could help him and bring him along and build him back up. You know, he was hurt last year, and I think that plays into it. But also, we heard not just from Bruce Boudreau, but Travis Green as well. You know, there were questions about his commitment to the defensive side of the game and his play away from the puck. And so it wasn't just one coach, it was two at the NHL level. But he was so good in his rookie season. He's an NHL player. But if he has to take a step back to take a couple steps forward, hey, again, not the craziest suggestion that Nils Hoglander could start the year down in the American Hockey League.
And again, I was told, that the Canucks are writing him off. They like him. And if he goes to Abbotsford, it's not a step babackwards. Hey, look, we've seen kids go up and down between the minors, and sometimes, and a new coach comes in, and, things can change in a real fast way. But I wouldn't write Hoglander off. I love his compete level, love his just the way he works hard. He's a buzzsaw, but as Jeff said, you got to work. You got to play in all three zones. It's just you can't get. He's not good enough to play in just one zone, and that's it. He's just not.
Hey, Ricky, speaking of a guy that did spend time in the Canucks development system and then was moved on to San Jose, we saw that Jonathan Dahlen signed a 5-year deal in the Swedish Hockey League this week. So it looks like his time in the NHL was short and not so sweet and probably over. Is there more to that story of why he bolted rather than trying to find another NHL home?
I see a lot of stuff and people ripping the kid. And I always say this, guys, Matt and Jeff, don't judge the person by what kind of hockey player he is. I can tell you about Dahlen, the person. I've interviewed him many times when he was in Utica. He's a really good kid. He's well-liked everywhere he goes. This is a classic case. There was NHL interest in Jonathan Dahlen, but the money wasn't right. And he's 24 years old. Remember when he got up and left Utica? Him and Petrus Palmu, they decided to go back, and it wasn't working out. And Trent Cull wasn't giving either one of these two kids any ice time at all. And they just got up and left Utica. It just his window of work in the NHL didn't put him in a position to get a really super duper contract. I think the money wasn't right. He's going to go back. He's comfortable. There are some kids that are okay with going back a level, and he's one of them. He's one of them. And to sign for 5 years in Sweden tells you he's basically saying, I'm okay with it. And but the reason he's not a bad dressing room guy, or he's not a head case. I see a lot of that. But he's just not. He's just his window of work in the National Hockey League was 1 year. So come on. He didn't get 75 or 80 points. Teams are capped out. This is not a good time to be a UFA right now, because go ask the UFAs that are available. They're waiting on teams to move money. And it's not a good time. There's not a lot of money available out there. So obviously he had this great offer in Timrå. He's comfortable. He went back there, and there you go. He's gone. But the kid's a good kid. I'm going to tell you that much right now. And good on him for saying, you know what, I'm going to go back home and play in Sweden.
Lastly, Ricky, another name who was in the Canucks development system, cleared of sexual assault charges now, Jake Virtanen. What are you hearing on Shotgun Jake?
Well, so there was a rumor on Twitter that he's going to Edmonton. It's a done deal, and I got 500 DMs. Is it true? All I can tell you about Jake is I am hearing as well the Oilers are in the mix with, I think, 3 or 4 other teams. A couple of days ago, I do know nothing was agreed upon with the Edmonton Oilers and Jake. But it could be Edmonton, guys. It could be. Jake Virtanen's got 3 things going for him right now, guys. He's got size, he can skate, and he can play for cheap. Those 3 things is the reason there's 4, 5, 6 teams that are willing to give him another opportunity. And definitely Edmonton is in the mix, but I've heard there's other teams as well. When I checked in on that story a couple of days ago, I was told that nothing had been agreed upon with Edmonton, but certainly heard the Oilers. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Ricky, look forward to each and every Friday going forward, buddy. And I'm so glad that you and Don are going to be back on Tuesday, because I know you've been chomping at the bit to get back at it, right? You're a workaholic type, Rick Dhaliwal. There are no days off for Rick Dhaliwal.
I got, you know what, I'm on my cell phone. Jeff knows. Jeff and I shared a cart Sunday at Hazelmere. He saw me on my cell phone the whole time. I just, you know what, you've seen it too, Matt. You and I have shared.
Yeah.
And Donnie and Dhali, Tuesday, we're back. We got a loaded show. I can't tip you off on the guests, but I'm going to tell you, I promise you, it's a loaded show. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be good. Oh, by the way, the Vancouver Giants are close to naming their play-by-play guy, and he's a good buddy of ours. I can't give the name. I think Jeff knows who it is, but you're going to be happy when you hear it. He's a good guy. But anyways, thank you for having me on for another year.
No, thank you, Rick.
Join us on Tuesday for Donnie and Dhali. Taylor, I'll be there at 8 in the morning. Taylor comes in around 9. We'll be ready.
Loaded show Tuesday. I hear Wednesday show is going to be pretty good as well.
Oh, Jeff Patterson. Yeah. You know what? Our hits with Jeff are wonderful. Even when he's at Rogers Arena and there's some stupid noise in the background we got to put up with. Sounds like someone's banging a drum.
I know.
But you got to fix that, Jeff.
Hey. You make sure you leave that studio spick and span, because our friends Linda Steele and Jody Vance are starting their show next week in your studio, all right? So don't be leaving a leftover food. You know how Taylor used to leave the 1040 studio, just a pigsty.
So pigs. We can't do it anymore. Hey, can you make it Harris and Patterson and cut the other guy out for the year?
I mean, the logo still works that way, Rick.
I would do cartwheels if it was Sekeres and Patterson. Cut the other guy out. I don't like him.
Thank you, Rick. Guys.